My reaction to the meeting with Schellenberger, basically it confirmed our theory in the first place, and it lets me know for sure that we are definitely on the right track. We believe that officer, that is my counsel and my clients, believe that Officer Ruby was acting in the cowboy style. He shot Korryn Gaines from outside of her apartment. He claimed that he didn't shoot her because he was afraid that his life was in jeopardy, but according to Schellenberger, he was afraid for the life of his partner, who wasn't even in the field of view of Korryn Gaines when Ruby fired his 4 shots into her apartment room. So what we have here is a rogue police officer who was not in fear of anything, but merely frustrated because Korryn did not surrender with sufficient alacrity. And that Korryn did not surrender with sufficient alacrity. And I say that because of Ramon Coleman, who gave the statement that before the officer fired his shot, he heard someone say, "I'm sick of this SHIT," and then shots rang out. Well, that makes a lot of sense based upon what Schellenberger expressed to us inside, especially in light of the fact that the shots came from the hallway into the apartment unit, striking Korryn when she's standing behind the wall, and also striking her son in the face.
That's right.
Jay Wendell, you said yesterday before. I'm sorry.
It's very clear that I represent Cody Gaines, a 5-year-old that was shot by a Baltimore County police officer. We're very disappointed that today we have been told that there'll be no prosecution of anyone, particularly Officer Ruby, who shot Cody Gaines. But make it very clear that we intend to seek justice. We intend to continue to pursue an investigation of this matter. What has been troubling is that there really has been no real investigation. What we learned is that the state's attorney's office really was just fed the information by the Baltimore County Police Department. The NAACP and others have been asking for a transparent and independent investigation. We continue to seek that independent investigation. That is the only way we can actually get to the truth. There will also be, obviously, a civil claim. We intend to pursue justice for Cody Gaines. Thank you.
Cody, can we ask you a question because you represent Cody?
Yes.
It appears from the narrative that we got today that Cody is shot blindly, and the officer fired through a wall without knowing exactly where he was. Am I reading that right?
You are hearing.
Are you surprised that that doesn't amount to something other than no charges?
I am surprised because at a minimum it is a reckless indifference for Cody's life.
That's right. Absolutely.
Up on that again. In reference to the prosecutor's just general decision not to bring charges, speak to how that has left you and your client's feeling, for heaven's sakes.
Well, Cody's 5 years old, so understand that Cody doesn't focus on the issues regarding prosecution or not. So that's not what I'm most as to Cody. Well, certainly Cody's mother was shot and killed. Cody has to live with this for the rest of his life. He's an emotionally scarred child. And for the next however many years he lives, this will be with him forever.
I can tell you how our family feels. We prepared our family for this. As you know, we shared our perspective with the media yesterday. So although we are a bit frustrated by the declination of charges, our resolve has been strengthened by this meeting with Schellenberger based upon the information that he shared with us. And again, it just reaffirms our belief that we were correct in our theory, that this was a death that should not have occurred, that did not have to occur. And what we learned today was that it was so outrageous that we do feel charges should have been brought. However, we don't have the final say on that. But we do have the final say as to how we're going to proceed with our counts in the civil circuit or the civil arena. And that's where we believe justice will bear out.
In reference to what you said yesterday, Jay Wendell, really quickly, what you said yesterday, this is no surprise to you. In other words, you called it. Tell us.
Well, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to call this one. I mean, we heard from the police chief 3 days after the events occurred that they said they investigated themselves and found that they did nothing wrong. Right. This was basically a rubber stamp by Schellenberger, basically a cosign of what police chief had already told people shortly after these events occurred. Schellenberger merely monitored this case and collected documents, about 6 inches worth of documents. and that we expect to receive in the very near future.
Did he ever talk to Ramon Coleman?
Now, it's my understanding that there is a written statement from Ramon Coleman. He would not share, that's another thing, he would not share any of the documents with the family. The only thing he shared with us was a diagram. And I thought that was pretty discourteous, to say the least. Because if you claim you have this information and that information, share the information. You're here to present your side of the story with the family. Don't just give us lip service, give us proof.
That's right.
And so this meeting was devoid of any proof. It was just a bunch of lip service of what he said, she said about this investigation. So we'll remain optimistic about their ability to produce this information at a later date. Mr. Bell would like to address you all.
You say, where do we go from here? We've already served the state's attorney a subpoena to give us his whole entire file.
That's right.
Already-
That's right, Attorney
Yes.
Bell. That's right.
We've already served the county attorney's office with the lawsuit and with discovery, both interrogatories and document requests. The reality of it is, she should not have been killed. Let's not say died. Let's call it what it is.
That's right.
She was killed.
That's right.
County.
She was murdered.
That's right,
People
Steve.
will be held accountable.
That's right.
All those who are in elected office who allowed this to go on without being silent. Not only will we remember this November, we're going to remember next November. Let's understand this. If you don't believe Black lives matter right now, we're going to show you that Black votes matter.
Yes, it does.
Good evening, Landon White. I represent the father, Korryn Gaines. And to simply state, the father and the family, the Gaines family, is upset. The information we heard today is what we've been hearing all over the country, whether it's in New Orleans, Tulsa,
That's right, brother.
and even in Baltimore.
That's right.
But one thing that's great about Baltimore City is that we set the standard. And the attorneys that we have on our side, whether it's Ken, Jay Wendell, Mr. Bell, we will set the standard for this case, and we will get justice. Thank you.
One of the things that I think I wanted to say is the officer that Ruby claimed to be protecting never fired a single shot. Ruby fired 4. He had the same observations as Ruby. He's in just as good of a position to observe Korryn Gaines as Ruby. They had been dealing with Korryn Gaines the entire day for 7 hours. According to them, she had been manipulating her weapon that entire time intermittently for 7 hours. As soon as they cut the camera and deactivate her Facebook page, shots ring out.
Yes.
Except the shots only came from Officer Ruby. This is his second kill.
Second kill.
This is his second kill. The person who Ruby claimed to be protecting was not himself. It was another person who observed the same thing as Ruby and did not fire a shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Korryn was murdered.
Right, right.
Now, I know Korryn's mom. I'm sorry, Miss Norman. Could you step in, please, and
Courtney's
just tell us,
feeling, that's it.
first of all, how has this left you feeling? This decision by the county prosecutor. I'm sorry?
That's what I'm feeling. I'm very disappointed, but not surprised. I'm not surprised. But I'm going to listen to my Missy Fence to take care of the battle.
Why do you say you're not surprised?
It's happening all over. I don't care if you see it on
Right.
video. They tell you your lying eyes isn't seeing what you're seeing.
That's
Right,
right.
right.
So I knew that it was going to be no different when they took away the eyes that she had. They took away the eyes that she was giving to the world. So I knew that the end result was going to be what it is today.
And we believe they had on a helmet cam at the time. Now, Schellenberger will tell us that that wasn't a helmet cam on Ruby's helmet. That was Ruby standing outside the door in Korryn's video. Schellenberger will tell us that that was a light. What the hell do you need light for in the middle of the morning and afternoon?
Absolutely.
Come on,
What do
attorney.
you need light for? That was a helmet cam. We truly believe it. They don't have any footage. They claim that this was a hostage or barricade situation. Where are the recordings?
That's right.
If this was a barricade situation, if this was a hostage situation, Where are the recordings? You're supposed to record negotiations. They failed to do that. They had little scopes prying into Korryn Gaines' apartment unit, violating her Fourth Amendment rights. They got a key. They had keys. They went and obtained keys from the rental office and opened her door, violating her Fourth Amendment rights. They cut her live streaming. We know that all citizens have the right to record police officers in the performance of their public duties. These officers were performing their public duties.
That's right,
They
Attorney
cut
Ford.
her camera. That is tantamount to slapping a camera or cell phone out of someone's hand.
Right.
That's
They
what
do
happened
it
to
all the
Korryn
time.
Gaines. And the minute the camera goes off, shots ring out.
Right.
And then they claim that they were fearful, not of his own life, but of the life of his partner, who was heavily armed with AR-15 rifles, 9mm, less than lethal weapons. 50 officers surrounding the perimeter, 16 officers directly on the perimeter, and armored vehicles, the works. I mean, what we really want to know at the end of the day is how much did it cost the citizens of Baltimore City to serve this misdemeanor traffic warrant with related misdemeanor offenses for all the manpower, the apparatus, and all the utility and surveillance equipment that they brought to this site. How many millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars did they spend to apprehend this 5'1", 102-pound woman when their station is directly across the street from Carriage Hill Apartments? That is, the police station is from Carriage Hill Apartments.
Some people will say, and then some critics will say, Korryn Gaines should have put the gun down and just came out. Can you talk to us a little bit more about why she was so fearful of police being at her house that day?
But this is the thing. Korryn had been through several traumatic experiences with police. The first incident on March 10th of 2016, she was apprehended after a menacing exchange with police. She was taken to the ground, roughed up, thrown in isolation for 23 hours, no water, no food, no phone calls. As a result of that incident, she had a miscarriage of twins in the bathtub of her home, where her fiance, Mr. Kareem Courtney, had to wait on her because she was totally dependent upon his abilities to care for her. So she had had very traumatic experiences with police. There are 16 officers surrounding the perimeter of her house, 50 officers surrounding those officers, and she was afraid. She was afraid to come out, but she did say to the officers, if you back up and put your guns down, I will come out. The officers failed or refused to oblige. What was there not to? You're surrounded by heavily armed officers.
She wasn't given
If you really wanted her out and didn't intend to ratchet the situation up and escalate a situation that she was trying to de-escalate, why couldn't you take a few steps back and allow her to surrender? They wanted her to surrender, but they wanted her to do it on their terms. This wasn't a negotiation. This was a demand session. If you didn't comply with what we were asking you to do, we're going to kill you. And that's what happened.
There are no charges being filed at this point. What does justice look like for the Gaines family, for Cody Gaines as well?
Well, I don't know if justice in terms of the Gaines family will ever come to fruition. But what we can do is seek justice through our court system in a manner of ensuring that these types of things don't happen again. What we can do is ask the citizens of this county to look into their hearts and listen with an open mind and not just what the police officers say, and make a decision as to why the Baltimore County police officers were not being completely forthcoming and forthright with their information. I think after we have a chance to provide the public by way of a trial with all the information that we have to date, and we're still collecting information on a regular basis, I think that you will soon realize, just as we realized throughout the entire time, again, that Korryn Gaines was not shot because anyone was fearful of her.
Right.
She was shot because officers were frustrated because it was taking her too long to surrender after working with her for 7 hours. And that's really the bottom line. Courtney C.D. Witherspoon C.D. Witherspoon has been a tremendous advocate. He's been working with this family for the last month and a half, and I'm sure he'd like to share a few words.
The only thing that I would have to say is that what we've come to the conclusion of is that there's always an excuse or a justification for police killing in our society. There's always an excuse or a justification. What we've come to the conclusion of is that there is no excuse whatsoever for the local government to kill black people and poor and working class people without consequence. Because when the Baltimore County Police Department murdered Korryn, it was the government that the Baltimore County Police Department works for. And a second time, this family has come here, and the state's attorney also works for this government, also failed this family.
Right.
But I know a court that no criminal can escape. And each of us will have to go before God and account for our actions. And we have already tried those officers in the court of public opinion, and we know that they are guilty. And future generations not yet born know that they are guilty. And we will talk about it wherever we go about what these officers did to Korryn. And before I shut down, Hubert Humphrey indicated that a society can be judged the way it treats its senior citizens and its young people. Now, you can take whatever position you want on the position that Korryn took in terms of her sovereignty. But a child was shot in that house as well. And when we talk about Black Lives Matter, when we have that conversation, what we are saying is that the life of a black child doesn't even matter in Baltimore County and in this state. So we've got to search our souls and our own humanity.
I would say this, ladies and gentlemen, we're potentially sitting in the seat of the next governor of Maryland. That's right. Okay. African American votes are going to matter. This is a very big issue. And I'm not sending out a dog whistle or smoke signals. I'm not making any threats or anything like that. I just want you to understand that African American life is important to us. And it should be important to all of us. Where African Americans make up 30% of the population in this state and 51% of the Democratic Party, we have a governor who's a Republican who's not doing that bad. He's not doing that bad. I don't agree with everything that he's done, but he's not doing that bad. So we need to understand that the next person who becomes governor of our great state of Maryland, we need to understand that he's going to consider some of the issues that we find important. These types of issues, police brutality, is an important issue to us. And I'm hopeful, and I just know that the next potential governor of this state of Maryland will speak to us and speak to the community about these very important issues.
That's right.
Thank you.